There's something alive beneath Rowan County, and I don't mean animals, or water veins, or even the roots of ancient trees. I mean something that moves when the earth sleeps, something that breathes through the soil and drinks whatever it can reach. My name is Jesse Walker. For the last 20 years, I've made my living as a land surveyor. I've mapped every creek bed, forest line, and forgotten coal tunnel you can imagine across eastern Kentucky. I thought I'd seen it all. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I found on that job near Farmers, Kentucky. It started like any other Tuesday. A client hired me to chart a piece of property that was nestled between two abandoned coal seams. The locals had a name for it, the Black Vein Ridge. According to the old-timers, the mine was sealed up back in the 50s after too many men went missing. They'd whisper that the ground down there wasn't right, that it moved on its own, almost like it was breathing. I laughed it off, of course. Just old mountain superstition. By the end of that week, I wished to God I'd listened. The ridge was a tangled mess of thick pine and black, sticky mud. I had to park my truck and hike in with my gear. The deeper I went, the quieter it became. It was an unnatural silence, heavy and oppressive. Not even the wind could push its way through the dense canopy of trees. I remember thinking how fundamentally wrong that silence felt. Even in the deadest of woods, you can still hear insects, or at the very least, the echo of your own footsteps. But there, it was like the earth itself was holding its breath, listening to me. I set up my gear and sent my drone up to get an aerial map of the ridge. The video feed was crystal clear for the first few minutes. Just your standard canopy of trees, winding creek beds, normal, boring terrain. Then the screen flickered. A wave of static rolled across the field. And for just a fraction of a second, I caught a glimpse of something I still can't explain. A hole, perfectly round, maybe 6 feet across, punched into the earth. It hadn't been there in the previous past. And for a split second, and I swear this on my life, I saw something move inside it. Something slick, black and wet, recoiling back from the light as if it hated being seen. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I grabbed my pack and started towards the coordinates. When I finally reached the spot, the ground was still warm to the touch. There was no smell of decay, nothing you'd expect from a sinkhole, just this deep, metallic scent, like hot iron fresh from the forge. I picked up a small rock and dropped it down the hole, listening for it to hit bottom. But instead of a thud, I heard a groan. Not the echo of air rushing out, not some geological pressure release. A groan that reverberated back up from below, like something alive had just been disturbed. I pulled out my soil sensor, and it immediately went haywire. The magnetic readings spiked off the charts. My compass spun uselessly in its housing. Then, my radio crackled to life. A voice came through, a ragged, static-laced whisper, speaking my name, Jesse, but my partner wasn't with me. I was completely, utterly alone. That was when the ground started to shift. It was subtle at first, a slight tremble under my boots. Then it got stronger, harder, like something massive was pushing up from directly beneath the ridge. The mud split open in a long, dark fissure, and a thick, black liquid began to ooze out, bubbling like hot tar. A stench filled the air, and it wasn't just rot. It smelled hungry. From that crack in the earth, I saw movement again. A pale hand, no, not a hand. A shape that wanted to be one. It reached out, stretching and twisting in a way that defied anatomy. And where its tips touched the ground, the soil turned dark and slick. Then I heard the voice again, louder this time. It wasn't coming from the radio anymore. It was coming from the ground itself. A chorus of 1,000 throats speaking as one, rumbling up through the soles of my feet. Feed me. I didn't think. I just reacted. I dropped everything. The expensive gear, the drone control, my pack, and I ran. I didn't dare look back. I don't think I even breathed. I just ran. Branches whipping at my face, my lungs on fire. By the time I crashed through the tree line and reached my truck, my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't get the key into the ignition. When I finally got it started and slammed it into gear, I risked a glance at the rear view mirror. And there, standing just at the edge of the tree, was a figure, tall, impossibly thin, and dripping with that same black liquid. It tilted its head as if it was studying me, committing to memory. Then it stepped backward into the shadows of the forest and was gone. That was 2 months ago. I tried to tell people, my boss, my friends, they all laughed. My boss even suggested I'd been breathing too much methane from the old mine shafts. But every night since then, I've heard it. That voice, low, persistent, calling my name from under the floorboards of my own house. And last night, I woke up in a cold sweat. I went downstairs to the basement, and there, in the concrete floor, was a hairline crack. Something wet had seeped through. I recognized the metallic smell instantly. The same black, shimmering liquid. I crouched down to look closer, my entire body trembling. And I swear, I heard it breathing. It whispered again, soft and slow, from somewhere far, far below my home. You found me once, Jesse. Now I'll find you. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever experienced something you can't explain out in the wild, let me know in the comments. Be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, because I have a feeling this is far from over. Stay safe out there.